All right, everybody, welcome back to the Always Messy Workbench. We are ready to get started on the Mr. Craft Hobby Kits MiG-29 Ghost of Kyiv. Now, in the unboxing, we saw that this is not the greatest MiG-29 kit in this scale, and let's face it, it's not even a very good MiG. I don't know. It's not the worst. It's not great. It's not great. I'm not sure what superlatives to use here. But we're going to build it. We're going to build it really mostly right out of the box so that we can see, we can see how it comes out. That's the whole thing. We want to see what we've got out of this. One of the big questions I have is the actual paint job for this to go under the decals. I got mission models. That's just the brand I picked, but I got the actual FS number for this high-low vis. This is great. High-low vis light gray. What a cool name for a color. High-low vis light gray. But it is an actual 595B color, and that is the base, the light gray base. It looks a little dark, to be honest, to me, for everything else. But we'll see. We're miles away from there right now. We're gonna start this kit with a little bit. I say a little bit of cockpit work, but it's the only cockpit that's available in this entire kit. There is barely any cockpit in here, really, if you think about it. Now, I'm feeling the plastic. It doesn't feel like it needs to be washed. I might just give it a quick spray down with just some Windex, and then wipe it clean. Just to make sure we don't have any mold release or anything. I don't know much about the brand or how they've prepared the pieces, but I don't want to take any chances. So I'm going to do that, and then I will come back and we'll start the build and see how this goes. Construction here starts when we cut out what is charitably considered the cockpit. So this is the tub right here. This is the cockpit tub. Yeah, that's piece number 32. We're going to cut out the pilot, piece number 31. And now I love this. Now look at the picture of the ejection seat in the instructions, and even that is incorrect. That's not a K36 ejection seat. But then compare it to the piece we actually get here. So we're going to cut out all three of these pieces, and we have some major flash to trim on all of these. And look at that pilot. Look at that poor giraffe neck looking pilot. The Ghost deserved so much better. So much better. But I'm going to do my... Now remember, I'm building this out of the box because I want to see how this all comes out. So we're going to take these three pieces. I am going to... we're going to trim them up. We're going to sand them up. And I'm going to follow painting instructions, which basically says that this is matte black. Even in... I'm going to point this out here too. The instructions, look, there's something going on. My cat is having a fit over there. Sorry. There's stuff going on in there, but we're just left with this. So I'm going to get this trimmed up, and I guess actually this piece right here is part of the seat. Looking at the picture, and I'm gonna have to get some sanding sticks going. And oh, this poor pilot. He looks like he's part of some genetic experiment and gone wrong. We'll get him painted up the best we can, and we'll get these all together and see what happens. Okay, so not taking into account the terrible shape and the lack of detail on this pilot figure, I'd say that in terms of just, the cleanup and the flash and the, extra plastic involved, I'd put this guy on par with like an early 80s Revell or Monogram crew member. Although they are, I want to point out, much more detailed than this guy is. we are just going to use a regular old dark blue. This is a pretty old bottle of paint. Just regular old dark blue to replicate the Ukrainian flight suit for Mr. the Ghost. And we're just going to brush it right on there, and we're going to weather on top of it. So this isn't the exact shade that I'm familiar with for a Ukrainian Air Force flight suit, but I think after we do a wash or two and do some weathering, it'll look just about right. And I don't think anything is going to make this crazy giraffe-necked pilot look right. Anything, anyway. So I'm just looking to get the color on there so that we can move on to next steps. However, I will say this plastic, just giving a quick wash, rinse in window cleaner and everything, is taking acrylic paint very nicely direct from the bottle with the brush. Same thing with the airbrushing. So decent quality plastic, a little soft, but decent quality plastic when it comes to working with it.
Remember, I already pointed out how inaccurate the seat is, so just doing a little detailing to give it maybe the appearance inside the cockpit, which we're not really going to see anyway, of a properly colored and detailed K-36 ejection seat. We're not going for full 100% authenticity on this, just enough to catch the eye a little bit. I know, not a standard interior color for a MiG-29 cockpit, but I just took the opportunity to experiment with it real quick and see how it's going to flow and what it's going to look like when we use it for the surface later. Having sat in the cockpit of an actual MiG-29 before, perhaps the most realistic part of this model kit right here is the bad visibility that this pilot would actually have looking outside. There's some flash and there's some extra molding all around on these pieces, but it surprised me how little sanding needed to take place to get these things ready to attach. The big thing were these big release marks, these big extra pieces of plastic on the insides of the verticals. They would not go together if those were not properly removed and sanded. there's some similar mold release markings and extra plastic on the inside of the wing pieces too. As you see me doing the sanding all around the edges here on the verticals, don't forget to note there's all kinds of details, little details like IFF antennas, ILS antennas, angle of attack stuff that are missing that just about every other manufacturer includes in these parts. Once again, great difference between the actual shape of the piece and the picture in the instructions. By the way, swapping piece 15 and 16 around, according to the instructions, they fit much better opposite of where the instructions say they should go. Once again, surprising to me, the fuselage halves fit together very well. A little trimming to the locator pins to help them sit nice and flush and line up, but not a lot of overbite, not a lot of misalignment. Things just went together a lot better than I thought. So the big problem with this kit is not so much the fit like I thought, but the shape and the accuracy. They want us to work on landing gear right here. We're going to save that for the end. This nose is probably one of the parts of the kit with the biggest shape and accuracy problems of the whole thing. It really doesn't accurately reflect the shape of a MiG-29 nose at all. And as you'll see as I go through here, I'm actually going to add just a little bit of lead weight. I don't know if I need it, I'm not sure, but it's just a habit I've gotten into with a lot of kits to add just a little bit of nose weight. I'd rather have it and not need it than put the whole thing together and realize it wants to sit on its tail. Say it again, the shape of the nose is terrible, and there is actually kind of a fit problem here. The nose is much wider. I say much, I mean you can feel it running a finger over it, and you can kind of see it a little bit wider than the fuselage, so it does need a little bit of sanding to blend it in as best we can with the side of the fuselage without messing up those leading edge extensions. And so while I'm at it, we'll just go ahead and make sure everything's nice and smooth and flush as we get ready to add other parts. If you take the time to sand the edges of the wings and the wing roots, get them nice and flush, the wings fit on very nicely without any kind of big problems, no gaps to fill, not perfectly flush, there's a little bit of an edge there, but I mean, just you don't even notice it. I was pleasantly surprised once again. The verticals have the mounting angle kind of built in nicely for you. It's easy to find. It's actually easier to find the correct outward cant on these than it is putting together the older Hasegawa kit. So I'll say it again. I'm actually kind of pleasantly surprised putting this kit together in a lot of ways. Canopy has just a little bit of flash to trim off. Then we're going to give it a standard old dip in Future. I know a lot of people don't like to use Future, but I still use it from time to time, in addition to Gauzy. Then I'm just going to cover it with a box to make sure no dust or anything settles on it as it dries. This is where the brittleness of the plastic is going to show its weakness, and you'll see that later on as it cracks a little bit.
This is the completion of the basic build of this kit, and yeah, it looks wonky. Now, you notice that you had a little chipping there when I was trying to trim that little stem off the canopy, so I used just a little bit of the crystal glass from ammo of MiG. Now this is not like a clear parts maker, but the way I used it filled in that little bit, and when it finishes curing, it should be, I mean, it's going to be a little bit noticeable just by the nature of it. And what I'm going to try to do is maybe just bring that canopy rail line up just a little bit and see what we can do there. But here we go. So this is the MiG-29. Now there's still some little tiny bits that need to get glued on. I love this. The wheel well just looks straight into the plane. There's nothing there. And there's really no forward wheel well at all. The shape is not great. It isn't. But I mean, we knew that. We knew that going in, that it was going to be kind of weird. Strange profile. It seems that there's just way too much leading edge extension. The wings seem a little bit short. Surprisingly, though, a lot of the fit was okay. It was not too bad. I was expecting a lot more filling to take place and a lot more sanding, to get things to fit correctly and nicely. A lot of the joints were not a problem at all. A lot of the joining up of different parts went really well. Some issues and a little bit of filling still to do, but in these intakes, of course, we have the cockpit that really there's not much in there at all, but it was not as big a hassle to put together as I thought it was gonna be. But well, here it is. So there we go. We've got this part done. So in the next part of this build, we'll be putting on some of those little tiny bits that need to go on. I'll be building the engines, the burner cones, and we'll be starting the whole paint. We'll be laying down some primer, the base color. We'll get the decals going. I have a feeling that we'll probably have the whole thing finished in one more part, because like I said, it's not that big a thing. I should have mentioned, I'm sure you've seen, but the ridiculously huge raised panel lines, which again, I'm building this thing out of the box, really. Out of the box with maybe one or two little just helping steps here and there. But so I hope everybody watching is enjoying seeing this thing take shape and come along, and very curious to see how it ends up. I hope you will all join me for the next part. Remember, guys, this is more about just building this kit to see what it looks like and to see the quality of how it comes out. We're not building this to represent a side in this war or take a stand or any political stuff, because this is the first time somebody's put out an actual kit of this subject, so we're putting it together. Those wings are just killing me. Something looks so off about them. I don't know. Anyway, as always, for everybody out there building your own, keep building them, build them well, and I'll see you again soon.